Shahrukh Nasir. I'm an RCIC from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Today I want to make a video on helping people apply for a visitor visa. I know obviously a lot of people approach us and other immigration practitioners across Canada to visit Canada. And sometimes they get refused and they wonder why they have been refused. So today what I'll do is I'll share some of the practices we have used successfully to attain visitor visas for our applicants. So the main thing you need to understand about a visitor visa is there's a process by which the IRCC officer, the Government of Canada officer, assesses your application. There are several factors. So today I'm going to take the time to explain to you some of the key factors that an IRCC officer assesses when somebody submits a visitor visa application. I have the operation bulletin actually in front of me, which is for guidelines to the IRCC officer. It's available online for those who want to learn. But mainly what it talks about and what it tells the IRCC officer to assess is, number one, the length of the time the client will be spending in Canada. So what that means is on the visitor visa application, there's a section which asks, how long are you planning to stay in Canada? Now, if you are coming here for a wedding, then staying here for 2 weeks or 1 week or 3 weeks would make sense. But if it's any time that is not in line with the purpose that you're coming for, that's going to raise doubts and possibly lead to a refusal. The second thing is means of support. So means of support is your financial support. Your relative in Canada can support you financially, for example, or your friends or family can support you from inside Canada, but that's only one part of the support that's being offered financially. You need to also be financially capable of coming to Canada. What does that mean? So when the IRCC's officer is looking at the bank statements that are provided in the submission, they're looking to see if this person can come to Canada based on their own bank statements, or do they need support from others. And that's where they have to make a judgment call to, someone who has $2,000 in his bank account compared to someone who has $60,000 in his bank account. So obviously the one who has $60,000 is more likely to be able to support himself financially coming to Canada. And if things don't go the right way in Canada, they get sick or something happens, they're able to afford the treatments and they're able to also go back to their home country with the financial support, relying on themselves. A relative in Canada will only offer additional support. It's not, they cannot in most cases provide the only support unless it's a very close relationship. And for that, there's a different application. For example, if you're a parent, you're sponsoring your parents, grandparents, or kids, then obviously it's a bit more dependent on the person who is the relative inside Canada, as opposed to having an uncle or a nephew or a cousin supporting you financially, who can on paper put that they will support you, but they are not obliged by any way to support you either. So that's a very important note. You must be financially capable yourself of coming to Canada and supporting your travel expenses when you're coming to Canada. That's definitely something an IRCC officer will consider. The other thing is the obligations and ties to the home country. So if you're residing in a country and you are unemployed, whichever home country that is, in the mind of an IRCC officer, you coming to Canada on a visitor visa and not departing Canada is going to be an issue. The main thing for any temporary residence, and we're talking today about visitor visa, is that the IRCC officer is assessing to see if this person was approved to come to Canada. Will they leave within the authorized period of time that they're supposed to leave by? And if they cannot, the IRCC officer cannot make that judgment based on the documents that you were successfully leave at the end of your stay, then they will refuse your application, which happens a lot of times. So once again, obligations and ties to the home country. If you're employed, you need to mention you're employed, you have a job, you have responsibilities, you have duties. You need to get a leave letter from your employer. That leave letter needs to say that this person is coming here for a couple of weeks into Canada for XYZ reason, and that they will be coming back because they have duties to attend, they have work to attend to, and that they're only coming for a short period of time. Very important for this to be mentioned in a visitor visa application. Another thing is the purpose and the context of the stay. So I pointed towards this initially. If you're coming to Canada to attend a wedding, then you need to say that clearly. You need to provide wedding invitation letters and supporting documents, who's getting married, whether they're a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. If you're coming for a business conference, then you should have an invitation for the business conference. This is why we're coming. We're going to attend this conference. If you have a business meeting, similarly, you need to provide documents, emails of communication of why you're coming. And once again, you need to tell the government how long you're going to be coming and staying in Canada for, what are the travel arrangements you have made, and essentially the purpose of your travel is for this purpose and this purpose only. If there's other purposes, if you want to travel in a business trip and have tourism involved, that's fine too. But make sure you make a clear distinction in your application that that's the intention that you have. And once you're done your visit, once you've attended your business conference or seminars or meetings or weddings, then you will go for tourism for a couple of weeks and then go back to your home country because you have obligations in your home country to attend to. And then another important part is the credibility of the documents and the information you're submitting. So at times, a lot of the people who apply, they apply through various agents and unauthorized representatives, quite frankly, who put any type of information on an application. If it gets approved, that's okay because you might have gotten the result that you wanted. But if you've gone refused and you are reapplying, you need to make sure all that information that was submitted in the original application is the same in the second application. A lot of the times you find that people have applied through various agents who have not put in the correct information, and then second time they hire someone else to apply, the applicant hires somebody else to apply, and the information that the IRCC received on the original application conflicts with the second application. So that's obviously credibility, and if you are not able to provide credible documents, whether even if it's information or documents, your bank statements, somehow you manipulated them or you had manipulated them, then that's not credible and that's going to lead to a refusal. So that's definitely a no-no. Do not do that. Provide credible documents. Look at your past history. Whatever you applied, reapply based on that information, and it has to be true and genuine and to be proved later on if asked upon. So that's also important. And then last thing that is important is your compliance and your travel history when you have went across the world. So if you visited US or Canada or New Zealand or Australia or UK or Europe, that holds some value. US, having a visitor visa to the US does have a value when applying to Canadian visitor visa. You'll see on some checklists that are available to different parts across the world for a visitor visa application. If you have a US visitor visa, then there is some exemptions that may be applicable to you, and essentially it makes the approval a little bit easier, especially if you've come to the US and you visited the US and you went back in time after visiting the US. It certainly helps. Having visited the UK or the European nations or Australia, New Zealand also holds some value. And having traveled generally and keeping in compliance with the countries you have traveled to, meaning you went there, you visited them for tourism or for work, or not for work, for that you'll need a work permit, but let's say you visited UAE, for example, and you stayed there for a week and you came back within the law, that is also good. Singapore, Hong Kong, all these types of places you've been, that's a good history of compliance with international travel regulations and local regulations within the country that you have traveled to. So if you have a good travel history, it will certainly add those factors and it will certainly help you get an approval. So to summarize, the government of Canada and the officer that's assessing your visitor visa application will once again look at number one, the length of the time that you're going to be spending in Canada, your financial support, your obligations and ties to your home country, your credibility of documents and information that you've submitted, and your compliance and your travel history. So all these factors combined, 6 factors combined, help an IRCC officer make an application. And what once again they're looking at is when you're applying for any type of temporary residence, whether that's a visitor visa, a work permit, or a study permit, that once you have come and entered Canada, you will leave Canada within the time that you're authorized to stay, and that you will not overstay. That's why these rules are in place, so that people stay in compliance. And if you have a history of compliance, then you will be more likely to get an approval. So I hope this video helped, and when you are applying for a visitor visa or any type of these applications, keep these factors in mind. And if you need assistance, obviously you can reach out to us as well. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this video helped, and I look forward to helping you more in the future. Take care. Bye for now.